I have a fear, and I've never expressed this openly, so this is the first time, so don't all come for me at once. I have a fear that Gen Z are the least resilient generation that I've ever seen. I just fear that Gen Z, when I'm hiring people that are in that generation.
What is the definition of a full-time job? If I don't come to work, the definition used to be, I come in at 8 or 9 and I leave at 5 or 6. That was a full-time job.
My fears at the moment, which is perfectly linked to what you're saying, is I have a fear, and I've never expressed this openly, so this is the first time, so don't all come for me at once. I have a fear that Gen Z are the least resilient generation that I've ever seen. And a lot of it, and sounds so stupid and not evidence-based. If you look at what TikTok is telling this generation work is, and there was a video that went viral on Twitter the other day out in Silicon Valley where it shows like a Facebook employee, one of the big tech companies. It shows her in her TikTok literally doing like 30 seconds of work. Then she's out doing some like pottery making class that work have put on. She comes back to the desk, does another 30 seconds of work. Then she's off to a work social. There's no way some of these younger Gen Z people could weather such a storm without quitting, doing a long LinkedIn post to criticize their employer, then quitting. And I just fear that Gen Z, when I'm hiring people that are in that generation, I almost need to go to an extra length just to check that they can cope with a high intensity culture where demands might come on a Saturday.
What is the definition of a full-time job? If I don't come to work, the definition used to be, I come in at 8 or 9 and I leave at 5 or 6. That was a full-time job. Now, how much work I did between those hours, it was FaceTime. And we know that because we've all had jobs where we stuck around until 7. So we got FaceTime, so our boss liked us, right? We've all done it. We see this like employees who have productivity issues. Like as long as they're getting their work done, do we care when? People all have side hustles. Even people who've got full-time come to work, everybody's got some sort of little side hustle. So the definition of what full-time employment is up for debate. And I think young people feel, in particular, that why shouldn't I? It's my time, I can do what I want with it. One of the things they're getting right is that we're married to work and we take our phones on holiday, we take our computers on holiday with us, and that work has ultimate say on our time. I agree, that should go the way of the dodo. But the extreme is not to put these hard lines everywhere and say, I don't do this. As an aside, the irony is, they demand that we respect their boundaries, and yet they seem to step on every other boundary about bringing, emotional professionalism at work and dumping all of my problems onto my colleagues, which is emotionally unprofessional. It raises the question, what do you want from your life and what do you want from your work? Like, why do you have this job? I think the question is what is the life that you're trying to build? And if you want a job simply to pay your bills and, this concept of quiet quitting, have you heard this one, quiet quitting?
I've heard this term, but maybe I heard you talk about it.
Well, it's been written about.
Right.
It's not my concept. But quiet quitting is this thing where I don't quit the job, but I basically will dial back my effort and give you the minimum. So you pay me to do this job and I will do the basic minimum amount to do the job, where you can't really fire me because I'm not really doing anything badly or wrong, but I'm also not going above and beyond at all.
When I read about our history as sapiens or Homo sapiens or whatever, it appears that we weren't with one partner. We were with multiple partners. We now live in this society where we're told to be with one partner. Is that natural? Is it human? Does it work? The stats seem to suggest it's not really working so well.
Esther Perel, who's wonderful if you don't know her work, she talks about the changing definition of monogamy. Monogamous used to mean I'm in one relationship for my whole life. Now monogamy means I'm in one relationship at a time, right? So even that definition has changed, where monogamy and people who consider themselves strictly monogamous have 15 monogamous relationships. We are having conversations about the health of relationships like we're having conversation about the health of work. And these things have always existed. The difference is now the stigma of talking about them seems to have dissipated. The point is like, it's amazing to me how many people are raising the question. One of the things that boils down for me is, it goes right back to what we're talking about, which is it's based on both parties and they both get a say.